Hey there, this is Gaurav. Welcome back with another video. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about history of JavaScript, like how JavaScript came into the market. Okay. See, I always say one thing, like before going to learn any topic, any technology, anything, you should know the history of it, like how and what problem that it has solved. Okay. Because then only you will get motivation in order to start learning or in order to continue your learning. Okay, so I'm going to tell you everything from the scratch with the help of a story, animation and analogy. Okay, so I have seen many of my friends, my colleagues, they have one doubt in their mind. Like, is there any relationship between Java and JavaScript? And it is very natural because the name Java has tagged into JavaScript. Okay, so I will also tell like why the name Java that has tagged into JavaScript and both are same or not. I will also tell the version history of JavaScript. I will tell how ECMAScript came. Okay, so please watch the video till the end here to get complete knowledge. Okay, so without wasting any further time, let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so now let's go back to the time when JavaScript was not there. Okay, so here I'm talking about the time in between 1993 to 1996. Okay, so in that time HTML and CSS, these two were the main two core technologies for web development. Okay, so I think HTML and CSS, these two terms are very well known to everyone. So if I talk about HTML, then the first version of HTML, it was written by Tim Berners-Lee in 1993. And for CSS, it was first proposed by Håkon Wimley on October 10, 1994. And finally, it was released in 1996. Okay, so if I talk about HTML, then HTML is nothing but the content of a web page. Okay, content like structure of a web page. Okay, like image, header, footer, body, a form, button, this all are the content. Okay, so just to show an analogy, I am considering it as noun. Okay, so if I talk about CSS, then using CSS, you can style your web page. Okay, it's about the presentation, how you are going to present it out to user. Okay, like what would be the position, color, shape, size, border, margin, etc. So again, for an analogy, I am considering it as adjective. Okay, now with these two core technology, we can create a web page. The main problem with this, with HTML and CSS, we can only create a web page which is static, which is not dynamic, which is not programmable. Like we cannot provide any kind of dynamic effect. Okay, we cannot add any kind of functionality. Okay, so that was a biggest problem that time, and that's where someone was thinking like how we can make it dynamic, how we can add dynamic effect, how we can make it programmable. So in September 1995, a Netscape programmer named Brendan Eich developed a new scripting language in just 10 days. Okay, so it was originally named as Mocha, but quickly it has named to LiveScript. Okay, so now let's come to the most important and interesting part. Okay, so earlier I told you like I have seen many of my friends, my colleagues, they have one misunderstanding, they have one doubt in their mind, like is there any relationship between Java and JavaScript, because the name Java is tagged into JavaScript. Okay, so Java has almost nothing to do with JavaScript. Okay, there is no relationship. So it was a marketing strategy. Okay, like that time Java was a very popular language. Okay, so it was just a marketing strategy so that we can attract all the Java developer to learn JavaScript, because that time JavaScript was a very new technology. Okay, so it was just a marketing strategy. Okay, there is no relationship. Okay, so thus LiveScript became JavaScript. Well, so now let's see how ECMAScript was born. Okay, so after the name that was changed from LiveScript to JavaScript, this new language, that is JavaScript, it was growing very fast. Okay, one reason might be because of the Java name that was tagged. Okay, so in 1997, due to JavaScript's rapid growth, Netscape handed the job of creating language specification to an organization, and the organization is European Computer Manufacturers Association, ECMA in short, okay. So that is where ECMAScript was born. So this was an organization where the JavaScript paper was submitted. So now let's look at the version history. So in 1997, ES1, that is ECMAScript 1, became the first version of JavaScript language standard, okay. So those of you who are working in JavaScript, they might have heard the term ES, right? ES1, ES5, ES7, all this different version, right? So here ES is nothing but ECMAScript, okay. So after that, there are other versions like ES2, ES3, ES4 that came, okay. So in 2009, ES5, that is ECMAScript 5, it was released with lots of new features, okay. So if you would like to know the basic of JavaScript, then at least you should know up to ES5, okay. Then in 2015, ES6 or ES 2015, that is ECMAScript 6 was released. This was the biggest update to the language ever with lot of features, okay. So after that, ES 2016, 17, 18, 19, one by one, all the versions were started coming. So here I haven't shown you each and every version with details like what are the new features that came. So if you would like to know in more details, then I will recommend you to go with this. Okay, so you just go and search for JavaScript history in W3 school. Go with this. Then JS versions. So here you can see each and every versions, okay, ES1, ES2 and the corresponding year as well, okay. In the right side you can see in description what are the highlighted features that it has, okay. And here you can see the browser support as well, like ES5 it is supporting by which browsers and the versions as well, okay. So here if you would like to know in details, you just go through it. Okay, so now let's come back to the topic. So ES5 is fully supported by all browsers, whereas ES6, ES7 and ES8, these all are well supported by all the modern browsers but not supported by old browsers. Whereas ES9 and ES10, these two together called as ES Next, that is a future version. Some of the features are supported by modern browser. So now let's look at the diagram which I have shown you earlier. So in this diagram, I have already talked about HTML and CSS, right? HTML is nothing but the content, that's why I am comparing it as noun, whereas CSS is about the presentation, that's why I am comparing it as adjective. So here JavaScript is what has introduced new, okay. So it's about action, the dynamic effects, okay. So that's why I am comparing it as a verb. Okay, so now let me give you a very simple example so that you guys can relate with it. Let's consider about a button in a web page, okay. So if I talk about a button is nothing but the content which you can write with the help of HTML. That's why I am calling it as noun. So if I talk about presentation, like styling, how it looks like what would be the color, size, shape, position, so this you can write with the help of CSS. That's why I am calling it as adjective. Now what will happen if I click on the button, okay, like the action part, the dynamic effect, that you can write with the help of JavaScript. Now these three are the main core technologies for modern web development. Now because of JavaScript, now we can create a dynamic web page, like an interactive web page, okay, just to provide a better experience to the user. Okay, so JavaScript is what made modern web development possible. So in today's world, only knowing JavaScript will not be enough. You should know some framework or some libraries of it, like React.js, Angular.js, Vue, etc. Okay. So initially JavaScript was created for the client side only, like it can run in the browser only. But now thanks to Node, with the help of it, we can run it outside the browser, like we can use it for server side as well. Okay. But in this video, I'm not going in details like what is Node, what is the concept of full stack development, like what is the role of JavaScript there. Okay, I will create a separate video for that. But JavaScript is very important and you should learn it. I will create a separate video on that, like why you should learn JavaScript. Okay, so I hope you have understood this video. So if you have any doubt anywhere in this video, please let me know by giving a comment in the comment section. Okay, so thank you for watching. You can follow my channel for more videos like this. So for now, take care, tata, bye bye.